Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. It's good to be back for another video, and this is going to be something I've been wanting to talk about for a while now. So a lot of people have been speculating the possibility of getting a new accessory, and that accessory being a second screen, a second tablet that you can attach to the already existing tablet for the Nintendo Switch 2, which will then make it a dual screen similar to the Nintendo DS and the Nintendo 3DS. Now, this is definitely something that a lot of people want. Obviously, people want to play those old Nintendo DS and 3DS games. I'm one of them. I definitely would love to play those games again. Would love to play games like Grand Theft Auto, Chinatown Wars, and other great games that were really fun to play with, with the dual screen on those handhelds. And I know for sure that Nintendo is probably doing this, and I'll explain why. But I know for sure Nintendo's definitely going to make this happen. But I also think Nintendo's going to take it a step further, and they're going to give us an accessory, a different tablet device that not only is it going to be able to be attached to the already existing tablet in order to make it like a dual screen, but I also believe it's going to be able to be used as a Wii U gamepad. Now, for those who didn't get the Wii U in general, who didn't play the Wii U, or maybe you've forgotten about it, the Wii U, the way it worked was it had a gamepad, right? And you could play whatever game you were playing on the gamepad instead of on the TV, but you had to at least be like 10 feet away from the TV. You couldn't be more than 10 feet away from it, otherwise it would lose signal. So you had to be pretty close to the console. But you were also able to play certain games with the gamepad and the TV at the same time. So in other words, there were games like, let's say there was like some type of, I think there was like certain Call of Duty games. I remember you're playing it, right? And then there are times where you have to like call in airstrike on the enemies, and then you would look at the gamepad, and now you're looking at the entire battlefield from the perspective of the airstrike, of the battle, the jets in the sky or whatever, right? The battleships that are up there, and you would basically press on the gamepad where you wanted them to, start firing off the missiles. It was really cool stuff like that, cool stuff that it really worked well with the gamepad. So it wasn't like the gamepad was just the only purpose for the gamepad was to play the game on there instead of on a TV. No, you could actually play games using the gamepad to do extra things. It was very innovative and it was very fun. The Wii U was a good console. Unfortunately, there was definitely some flaws with it. Nintendo didn't really support it that well, as much as they should have. There was a lot of stupid things Nintendo did with that console, but it was a great console. It was very innovative. The gamepad was extremely fun. Nintendo Land was one of the most fun games on the Wii U, and it had many games that would utilize that gamepad. There was also that Zombie U game, and I remember there was like a multiplayer mode where one person will be using the Wiimote and nunchucks playing on the TV, and you had the gamepad, and what you would do is you could see the top overview of the map, you could see where the player was, and you can just basically you could spawn a bunch of different zombie types in certain areas of the map or whatever to try to slow down the player or get him killed, get the other person killed, whatever. So there was a lot of cool stuff like that you could do with the Wii U gamepad. So what if Nintendo actually makes an accessory that can not only be played like by attaching it to the already existing tablet to make it like a dual screen handheld, so you could play Nintendo DS games, 3DS games, but what if that same accessory can also be used as a Wii U gamepad, which means you would have the actual Nintendo Switch 2 tablet still docked, but now you got this other extra screen with maybe Joy-Cons attached to it. That way you can play the Switch 2 the same way you used to play the Wii U. And for the 10 million or so, 13 million or so people who bought the Wii U like I did, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And boy, those games were fun, and a lot of stupid people missed out. A lot of idiots missed out on how the fun games and the things you could do with that Wii U gamepad. I mean, if you've never played a Wii, I would just say look up some videos if you've never played the Wii U, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But you know, another simple example would be one of the games in Nintendo Land was like you're just throwing ninja stars at targets or whatever. So here you have a bunch of targets on the TV, and then you got the tablet in your hand, and with the tablet you grab the ninja stars and you start throwing them and swiping them as fast as you can, and then you see them hitting the targets on the TV, stuff like that. You know, that's pretty much how it worked. It worked. It was intertwined with the gameplay that was going on the TV. So I think this would be really awesome if Nintendo does do this, and I'm pretty sure this is exactly what they're going to try to do. And the reason I think that is because Nintendo is trying to make the Switch 2 the ultimate Nintendo gaming machine, in a sense that you're going to be able to play every single Nintendo console that's ever been made on this system. We already had the Virtual Boy. They just given us the Virtual Boy. Now we can play the Virtual Boy on the Switch 2. You can definitely play Wii games because of the fact that you can detach the Joy-Cons from the tablet itself, and then you can just use those as if they're like the Wiimote and nunchuck, and you can, you know, I was playing Cyberpunk 2077 like that. I was using it to aim and get some good headshots, stuff like that, just like in the glory days. I do believe that it's probably not as good as the Wiimote or nunchuck, and maybe they'll make an accessory like a Wii motion bar or something like that, a motion sense bar like they used to have, and it'll make it more how do I put it, like more precise, more accurate, or whatever, like the Wii was. But it's still good. The motion Joy-Cons still work pretty good. They're very how do I put it? They're pretty trying to think of the word. Competent. It's very competent the way it works. So right now you can play Game Boy Advance games, you can play Nintendo Wii games, you can play GameCube games, you can play N64 games, you can play Super NES and NES games. You can play all those different games. The only ones right now that we really cannot play are Wii U and 3DS games. Sure, there's a lot of Wii U games that were ported over to the Switch, but there are some that haven't been yet, and I think it's just the ones that heavily rely on that gimmick that the Wii U gamepad had, and that would be Nintendo Land. I can't think of any others right now, but yeah, Nintendo Land was pretty much a prime example. I think Zombie U would probably be one as well. Zombie U, we have not gotten a port of Zombie U. We didn't get a port of Devil's Third, and that pisses me off. They better hurry the hell up and port that game over. It's getting on my nerves how that game, they're just leaving that game to rot in the grave. They need to bring that game back, because it's a very fun game, and only stupid asses who didn't play it talk shit about it. But they need to bring that game back as well. But yeah, I think this would be freaking awesome. Like, this is definitely, I think this is where Nintendo is, what their strategy is. Because look, if the Switch 2 can play every single virtual console, every single Nintendo console that's ever existed, then, you know, no one could really complain. That would make it the ultimate gaming device in the sense of its backwards compatibility. You're able to play every single one of your childhood games. Whatever games you enjoyed playing on the Nintendo Wii, the 3DS, the DS, the Wii U, you name it. If you're able to play all those games on your Switch 2, that literally makes that raises the value of it drastically. And it's amazing how they hadn't really raised the price for NSO, considering what they have. The great GameCube games that they've added in addition to everything else that was already there is really good. I've been putting a lot of hours into Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. That's a really fun game. I've been putting hours into the Wario World game. That's another great game. I've played a little bit of Chibi Robo, and it's alright. It's a decent little adventure game. Very random, in my opinion. But yeah. Oh yeah, I've also played a lot of F-Zero GX. That's a really fun racer right there. Yeah, it has flaws, but it's a good racing game. It's not a bad F-Zero game. There's just some things about it that I absolutely hate, but it's a great F-Zero game. So yeah, this seems to be, I have no doubt in my mind that this is Nintendo's strategy. This is their goal, is to make, they've been doing this for a while now. You know, every new console they made, they always made sure to make it backwards compatible with the previous console. You know, with the Nintendo Wii, you could play the GameCube games on it. Hell, even with the GameCube, there was like I still have it. Like there's this accessory, this attachment that goes on the bottom of it, where you can play Game Boy Advance games. And we used to play Game Boy Advance games right there on the GameCube. I remember how awesome that was, and we were playing like the old Super Mario games and whatnot. That was so cool. But yeah, the GameCube had that backwards compatibility with it. Then the Nintendo Wii, and then with the Nintendo Wii, you had the online store, you had the Wii Shop, and then you had Virtual Console, which you were able to play NES, Super NES, and N64 games. I don't know if there were any others, but I think there were like different Sega games as well, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, there was that, which was really freaking cool. Then the Wii U was backwards compatible with the Nintendo Wii. You can play Nintendo Wii games on your Wii U, and which meant you could also play, if I'm not mistaken, you were able to play GameCube games on the Wii U as well, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody correct me on that, but I'm pretty sure you were able to do that. But yeah, you were able to access the Wii Shop on your Wii U. So they did a good job. And you were able to use your Wiimote and nunchucks on it as well, and you were able to play those motion-controlled games, which I did a lot of. So that was really cool. Then we go to the Nintendo Switch, and Nintendo Switch was, you know, a console that they made in a while that wasn't backwards compatible with its predecessor, being the Wii U. But thankfully, the Wii U didn't sell that well, and so it gave them a good excuse to just remake all of those Wii U games and bring them over to the Nintendo Switch. That being said, you can still play all these different N64, NES, Super NES games on your Nintendo Switch, and because it's a hybrid, you were able to play these games on the go, and you can kind of enjoy playing your Game Boy Advance games as well. So now we got the Nintendo Switch 2. The latest one that's been added is the GameCube, so now we can play GameCube games on it. So that means the only consoles, virtual consoles that are missing for it is the DS, the 3DS, and the Nintendo Wii U. And just those three, and that's about it. And all they really have to do for us to be able to play all of those games again would be to make a second touchscreen or whatever, like just a second tablet device that could be used as a dual screen, similar to the Nintendo DS, or that could be used as a Wii U gamepad. And I think that would be freaking awesome if that's what they do next, and I would definitely purchase that. So yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention that we got the Virtual Boy. So yeah, the Virtual Boy. So we even have a freaking Virtual Boy playable on the Switch too. So yeah, I'm pretty sure the next ones is going to be the DS, 3DS, and the Wii U. But that would be the smartest thing to do, and that seems, I'm going to predict right now that that's exactly what Nintendo is doing. I'm confident that that's what their plan is. It's to make a second tablet that's going to be able to play as a Wii U or be played as a dual screen to play Nintendo DS games. So with that all being said, guys, I want to hear from you. I want to get your thoughts on this, if you think this is what's going to happen next. I strongly believe it will be, and once they do that, man, that's really going to bring up the value of the NSO. I'm pretty sure they're going to have the Nintendo DS, 3DS, and Wii U and the Nintendo Wii all added to the NSO, and they're all probably going to be added to the expansion pack, which they should. They should definitely add all of those to the expansion pack just because of the value those bring. And if they keep the price at $50 a year, dude, that's going to be a steal. That's going to be an awesome deal. Nobody can argue. There's going to be stupid people trying to say, oh, they should just make it $10 a month. No, that's definitely going to go on the expansion pass because it's definitely worth it. So, but yeah, you guys let me know what you think, if this is what's going to happen next. And I want to know, what's your favorite, if this does happen, if this ends up being true and they end up announcing this in the next big major Nintendo Direct, what games are you going to be most excited to play again? You know, what games from the Wii U, the 3DS, the Nintendo DS, the Nintendo Wii, what games would you be most excited to go back and play again if all of this ends up being true? If we end up getting all of these to come back, if we end up getting this new accessory that can be used as a Wii U gamepad and as a dual screen similar to the 3DS and the Nintendo DS. What games would you guys hope to be announced to launch onto the NSO? Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. You guys let me know what you think, and I will talk to y'all later.